What is going on, traders? Welcome back to another edition of the Traveling Trader. Today, I wanted to talk about one of the most asked questions that I get. How much money do you need to get rich trading? So let us get right into it and have a practical discussion, and I'll give you my take based on my experience and other traders that I've dealt with over my almost 2 decades of trading. All right, so how much money do you need to get rich trading? Well, let's start from a practical point. Let's talk about the basics first. How much money do you actually need to get started in trading, period, let alone get rich? And then I'll go over some compounding interest logic and show you what it would take to actually turn $1,000 from a starting point into $37,000 or around there by end of year. I'll also go over another scenario and tell you how much money you need and what percentage gain you would actually have to achieve in order to sustain a living income or living wage. All right, so the money that you need to trade actually depends on the security that you want to trade. Obviously, every market is different. We have crypto, stocks, options, and obviously you have lower risk investments such as bonds, money markets, etc. I'll leave those out for now and just talk about the tradable markets. All right, for stocks on the spot market, obviously the minimum number of shares you can buy is 1 share, and this can range widely from penny stocks to something like Amazon, which is currently priced at $1,800, $1,824, around there, today's price. Now, a lot of people look at the stock market incorrectly. In my view, the stock market is actually a long-term investment instrument, right? Yeah, there's been times when people have hit it big on the stock market, but there's also been times when people have won on the slot machine in Vegas. It should be looked at in the same vein where the likelihood of that happening is very slim. Now, you could stick to lower price stocks, but one thing you have to watch out for are fees and commissions. But with things such as Robinhood nowadays, you can totally avoid those and not even include it in part of your trading strategy. Obviously, with apps like Robinhood, you're limited to the number of stocks or the variety of stocks that you can trade, but there's actually, that list is growing and it is a healthy list for most people. So if you've never been exposed to the stock market, from my experience, $500 to $1,000 is the perfect starting point in order for you to get used to executing trades. People think that trading is easy, or they have this fantasy-like idea about trading and retiring, etc. But actually hitting the buy and sell buttons could be very intimidating if you've never done it before. And $500 to $1,000 is not enough to really damage most people. And again, with apps like Robinhood, where they take away the fees and commissions, you can pretty much execute a wide number of trades with minimal damage. The good thing about the stock market is you can't lose more than you put in. Now, with crypto, it's a lot easier because it's a fractional system. You don't have to buy a whole of anything, right? You can't buy fractional stocks. You can't go to your exchange and say, I want to buy 0.25% of a share of Amazon, right? But you can really fractionize your Bitcoin or whatever crypto you're buying and buy a certain fraction of it. One reason is because it is based on code, and that code allows you to break up that coin into fractions. And the second thing is there is a limited number of Bitcoin. And so not everybody can, if you can only own 1 Bitcoin, trust me, Bitcoin's price would be over $1 million right now, because simply there wouldn't be enough to go around. Anyway, a lot of people are attracted to crypto because of this fractional element that it provides, as well as the fact that it's a 24/7 market. The fees are really low if you trade on something like Binance, and it offers the volatility that the stock market doesn't offer most of the time. So you can see something 10x or 20x very quickly, and it could be a good onboarding tool to get you into the trading world. As a matter of fact, in our premium trading group, a lot of the people that came in didn't come from the traditional markets. A lot of people entered into trading through crypto and then got acclimated to stocks and options, etc., at a later point. And in crypto, just like the stock market, you could start with $500 to $1,000 and you really won't lose your shorts. And there is a chance to make a lot more money in a shorter amount of time in general, although we have seen some miracles in the stock market. Like I said, the stock market should be seen as a long-term instrument. And I'll show you why towards the end of the video. Now, options provide traders the volatility that they crave and allow you to enter the underlying stock for a much cheaper entry. If we look at Amazon, for instance, here, you'll see that on the options that expire August 30th at the 1820 price point, $1,820, You can control with every options contract, you control 100 shares of Amazon stock. And if I hit confirm and send, this is my Play Money account, by the way. So don't blast me for showing this balance. This is just the paper trading that I've logged into. But if you look here, you'll see that this entire trade for controlling 100 shares of Amazon will cost you $4,340 at the 1820 strike price. Now, I'm not going to go into options right now and explain them. I will be doing something later in a different series about options because I've been asked that a lot of times. But for options, I don't think that anybody starting out should really be playing with options. It's a lot more complex. There's an expiration date involved, which gets tricky. Even if the stock price moves in the direction you want, it depends on how close you are to that expiration date. Your option could be near worthless, etc. There's a lot of different factors to take into account. But once you start getting used to trading, you can even sign up for a paper trading account like the one I have here through Thinkorswim. Options do provide you that opportunity to make a lot more money with incurring a lot more risk through the stock market. All right, now the juicy stuff. What will it take to get rich? How much money will it take to get rich in the stock market? Well, it depends. Obviously, everybody's definition of rich is different. But let's say, and I'm going to come over here to this compound interest calculator. I've shown this before. And let's say you start with $1,000, right? And you are targeting a daily interest of 1% per day. See, if we compound this daily, and let's just say let's say you don't add any money to your initial investment, and let's change the term to 1 year and hit calculate. You'll see that with $1,000, if you made 1% a day compounded, meaning on that first day, you are up $1,010. On day 2, you reinvest $1,010. You make 1% on that. On day 3, you reinvest that entire amount. So that's compounding, right? You'll see that you will be at $37,000 of profit of interest by the end of the year. So you'll have a total of $38,000. Just starting with 1,000. Now, I don't want to get people's expectations or get their hopes up. Making 1% a day in any market is very close to impossible and requires a lot of discipline. And I've been around trading for a very long time, and even successful traders who make a living off of trading, even really skilled traders don't make 1% a day. Usually you aim for that 15 to 20% a year, and that's if you're super skilled and know what you're doing. And even then, that's a fraction of the total number of traders that are in the market. But, and a big but, this does not mean that you cannot aim for that, right? And sometimes what I like to do is take a certain portion of my trading budget, and I'll have a long-term budget, right? Like in stocks, and I'll take, say, $1,000. You can experiment with this yourself. Take $1,000, put it in whatever market it is that you're trading, and try to hit that $1,000 threshold every day and compound it and see if you can get to that $38,000 figure by the end of the year. Even if you come up short, it's a great experiment and you'll know what's really possible. And we'll get you involved in the daily rigors of market trading. All right, and this is why I say that the stock market is a long-term game. If you look at just the S&P 500 since 1923, through 2016, the average annual gain is 12.25%. Now, obviously, you're going to have some bear markets, you're going to have some bear months, even bear years in order to get to that average. But over time, the average gain is 12.25% a year. And that's with doing nothing. That's just putting your entire funds into an S&P index and letting it sit there. Now, I could tell you from experience that sitting through bear markets is not a fun process whatsoever. There's definitely a perception of a loss of value, and worse off, if you need that money for any sort of emergency, you will have to pull it out of the market at a loss. But this is assuming you don't need the money whatsoever and you are okay sitting through bear markets. Then studies show time and time again that just putting your money in a buy and hold strategy is the best way to gain the most out of the market. Now, if you are into trading and buying and holding sounds boring, then you could do what I just described before, where you diversify and take a certain chunk of money and try the 1% a day compounded thing, or, try a variety of different trading strategies or day trading or whatever comes to your whim, putting it in options if you want to test that market out, but keeping a sound distribution so that most of your money is protected in a long-term market. Everybody's risk tolerance is different. For some people, they're going to have 60% of their funds in a long-term market and 40% they're going to day trade or swing trade or whatever. For some people, it's 80-20. For some people, it's 90-10. Either way, if you're going to be trading, just understand that it is a long-term game. Do not try and trade as if you're going to retire overnight. As a matter of fact, let me hit you with a dose of reality. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I'll tell you how much capital you would need and what percentage you would need to gain every year in order to make a living wage. So let's say that living wage is pretty modest, $50,000 a year. Well, at $50,000 a year, even if you're a successful trader that feels like you can achieve 15%, you will need a capital balance of $333,333.33. Things get even more grim if you don't make 15% a year and say you only make 10% a year. You're going to need $500,000 just to achieve $50,000 a year. So trading is a long-term game. Even those that got into Bitcoin early, right? They had to sit through Bitcoin hitting $1 and $2 before it ever hit 20,000. People think that that was overnight. No, I mean, it was 2011 when Bitcoin really was first able to be traded, and it was 2017 before it hit 20K. So yeah, I mean, that is an insane game. And a lot of people got lucky, but it did not happen overnight. Now, we'll leave you with an interesting fact about Bitcoin. I saw this from a Twitter user called Plan B. He actually posted this towards the beginning of this year. And he said, if you had 1% of your portfolio in Bitcoin and 99% in cash over the last 10 years, you would have beat the S&P 500 if you had all your money in the S&P 500. And that was with the biggest, longest bull run of all time practically. And not only that, but if you drill down further into the numbers, you'll see that your max loss through this strategy was 1%. If everything went to shit, it was 1%, right? If you lost your entire Bitcoin allocation versus the S&P's max loss at 6%, you see that Bitcoin's return is 10.3% and the S&P 500 after that 10-year period is 9.6%. So that's a little bit of perspective for you, right? Like people say that Bitcoin is risky or volatile or not worth it or whatever, or a piece of shit. But if you just had 1% in Bitcoin and 99% in cash, you would have beat the entire S&P 500 in the longest bull run of all time. Thank you for sticking around. That is it for this video. If you want access to our premium trading group where we send out crypto and stock signals, that link is in the description. If you want one-on-one training with me around technical analysis, trading, etc., if you have any questions, that same link is also in the description. We do those over video conference. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. If you have a question about any of the topics we just discussed, or you want to shoot the shit, leave a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Stay safe out there. Peace.